I don't think I can picture myself ever getting to the point of shooting someone in the face, no matter how angry I've gotten.
Well, you haven't looked deep enough.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Like, is there something that's like different about like a David Berkowitz, that he's born differently and I don't got to worry about that because I'm never gonna, I'm not like him? Or like underneath it all, is there something lurking within each of us that just given the right opportunity, that could be us?
Spend 6 months mulling over a grudge. Spend 6 months rehearsing over and over again in your head what someone did to you, something someone did to you, how they hurt you. Spend 6 months isolating. You watch what you devolve into. Sin will always take you further than you ever thought you'd go.
Yeah.
You become things you never thought you'd become.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at a David Berkowitz, I don't say this is a different kind of person. This is a psychopath. I say, but for the grace of God, so go I.
Thanks for watching the Stone Church podcast. My name is Mark. I'm the youth pastor here at Stone Church, and I have the privilege today of being joined by Dr. Michael Caparrelli. He's a doctor in behavioral science. He also was a pastor for many years, and he had a pretty unique opportunity to sit down and do a series of interviews with David Berkowitz, also known as the Son of Sam, who is an American serial killer. So I'm joyed to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is cool.
I would love to know about how you met the Lord and what that looked like for you.
I was 18, which was 30 years ago. I was locked up in a juvenile jail. It was actually my 17th birthday. I heard the gospel. I was locked up during my senior year because I had robbed a Providence police car with 2 friends. And we broke into a couple of houses, and we were just not in our right minds. And then when I was locked up in juvenile jail, there was a pastor that would go there with his guitar, and he would share the gospel. His name is Pastor Mike Krautman. He passed away actually last year. But that was the initial exposure to the gospel. And then once I got out of jail at 18, I found a church, got saved, in 30 years, never looked back.
Have you always been interested in human behavior and psychology, or like how did that start for you?
I think it comes from being a member of a family that's nuts. I mean, really, my dad, when I was growing up, was in and out of prison. My mom was young. She was 16 when she had me. Grew up in the projects, on welfare. A lot of craziness in the family, a lot of mental health problems. So I think there was a young age, like 11, 12 years old, there was a desire to understand what made people tick, to help people out of their madness. And then once I got saved, it was shortly after my salvation that I knew it was more than just walking with Jesus, but it was serving him, it was working with him, it was the ministry. And then in pastoring for many years, I pastored for 16 years. At some point, in dealing with a lot of people from difficult backgrounds, inmates leaving the prison, reacclimating to society, people in recovery from addiction, people with depression, anxiety. I had a desire to learn as much as I possibly could to help people. So I started my PhD coursework, probably my 4th or 5th year of pastoring. I mean, the PhD itself took 7 years, never mind the bachelor's and the master's. But that PhD was really an effort as a pastor to be a better shepherd to the congregation that I was pastoring.
So you saw it as like a tool to help you reach and understand people.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I like theory, but most of the time that I was learning what I was learning in the PhD program, I was quickly translating that theory to practicum. Like, if I can't make this work on the streets, if I can't take what I'm learning and make it useful for the addict who wants to kick the addiction, if I can't make it practical, what's the point? I have to be able to take whatever I'm learning and bring it to the streets. If I can't bridge that gap, to me, it's just useless information. So my mind does that pretty quickly. It takes theory and turns it into concrete, practical application.
Yeah, this is how we're actually going to walk it out.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I think some people worry that the psychological approach kind of takes away from the spiritual aspect, like, or like replaces it?
I don't know.
How do
I
you
don't know if
see?
they're reading the Bible right because
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, because like I've heard you say before that the Bible is not just a theological book; it's a psychological book. Can you talk about what you mean by that?
well, the Bible puts humanity on full display. I mean, it is
Mm,
an X-ray,
mm,
the Bible, of the human condition.
yeah.
You know, the book of Psalms, let's just take that for instance, 150 songs. There's so much emotion in the book. You have the Lamentations, David's expressing his sorrow before God. You have the imprecatory Psalms, he expresses his rage. The complaint Psalms, he
Hmm.
expresses his bitterness and his resentment.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Psalms, he's expressing his gratitude. So the Bible is not shy about the human condition. It's
Yeah.
it's a full X-ray.
Yeah. It
What
correctly
makes us
diagnoses
tick,
it.
what we feel, and it does two things. It confronts the sinner in us, but it also unlocks the winner in us because we are
That's good.
both made in the image of God, the Imago Dei, that's the winner,
Hmm.
and we're affected by the image of Adam, that's
Yeah.
the sinner. So the Bible does a great job at separating. You know, it cuts to the marrow. It separates joint from a marrow. It separates the intentions of the heart. So, I mean, to me, the Bible is the greatest psychology book ever written. I don't
Wow.
read it; it reads me.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you're speaking to people who are in like detention centers or in prisons, stuff like that, or even like your experience with David Berkowitz, like these are people who have experienced the dark underbelly of the world firsthand and experienced the evil of the world. Do you find it's easier to share the gospel with that kind of person than to somebody who hasn't had that kind of experience?
Yeah, I think it's easier, but it's also for me more rewarding.
Hmm.
I enjoy seeing the grace of God in gritty places. The contrast between God's glory and man's depravity.
Hmm.
To see God's glory in the most gritty, dark, nasty places. To me, I mean, there's no amount of money
Wow.
that a person could pay me
Yeah.
that could replace that joy.
Hmm.
So I mean, I've been working with inmates for 20 something years. I've sat with two serial killers, although there's a third individual that it's questionable whether he was one. I meet with Craig Price. Craig Price is the youngest serial killer in America. At 13 years old, he murdered a woman when she was sleeping. He stabbed her in the face 50 something times. And then at 15, he murdered a mom and her two little girls. He was 15.
Gosh.
And Craig has been behind bars since 1989. He's in his 50s. He calls me probably 5 times a week on the phone.
Wow.
I meet with him in Florida quarterly, and he's been walking with Christ for the last 10, 12 years.
Wow.
And here's a guy, I mean, at one point, he's like, in Rhode Island, he's considered the most hated guy in Rhode Island. Like
Yeah.
David Berkowitz is the most hated guy in New
In New
York.
York. Yeah.
Craig Price is the most hated guy in Rhode Island
Hmm.
because of the crimes that he committed. They were so atrocious, they were
Yeah.
so awful. But now meeting with him, um, I mean, he's an empathetic guy. He's compassionate. He's level-headed. Some would say, well, how do you know he's not manipulating? This is what psychopaths do. You spend enough time with somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I have known many prisoners that I would agree it's just a jailhouse conversion. It's manipulation. It's just an act. It all comes out in the wash.
Yeah.
You eventually see that, through the passage of time.
Yeah.
But a guy like Craig Price and David Berkowitz, I've spent a lot of time with them to know what happened between them and Christ was
Hmm.
real. Not that I would advocate for their release.
Okay.
I would never write. I mean, I've been asked as a psychologist to write letters to parole boards. Please ask the parole board to release me. I won't take that chance
Hmm.
because it's just too big of a gamble.
Yeah.
But at least within the confines of the prison and within the structure of the institution, I'm there to support them. And I
Yeah.
can see the work of God within that structure.
Well, I was gonna say, because I mean, we see even in Paul, he's like, "I'm in chains, but it's for God's glory
There you
that
go.
I'm here." Like, do you feel like these men you're meeting with have an opportunity to share the gospel and like tell a greater story from behind bars, almost?
David Berkowitz is more fruitful behind bars than most Christian ministers I know in free society.
Yeah.
The guy disciples 16 to 18 guys
Hmm.
in the prison. Every Wednesday night, he meets with them for a small group Bible study. the Sunday services. He preaches a lot at the Sunday services. He has a correspondence ministry where you have hundreds of people that write him from around the world.
No way.
I'm talking about young people that were this close to shooting up their school.
Are you serious?
Well, they see David as no stones to throw, judgment-free zone. It's like, this is David Berkowitz.
Yeah.
He shot 13 people in the face. He stabbed 2 young ladies with a hunting knife. He lit 1,400 fires. He's not going to judge me. So he'll get letters from people that, I mean, they're just out of their minds. And he will respond to that letter. He takes his time. He prays over every letter he writes.
Wow.
He'll take his time. He'll send them back a letter, and he'll talk them right off the edge. Wow. So he's got this amazing correspondence ministry. He said, like, I get so many letters that come in from around the world. I want to go in the mailroom and like apologize to the mail team at the prison because they've got to go through so many correspondence envelopes that are mailed to me. So his ministry behind bars, back to your point, I mean, I know very few people that are that fruitful in the ministry, and yet he's been locked up since 1977.
Man, it's like the whole God's power being made perfect in weakness kind of thing.
100%.
It's like, this is a man who's forfeited his right to freedom and his life, and he's hurt and, caused so much damage in the world. There's nothing he has to boast about besides what Christ has done in his life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we've talked a little bit about how biblical principles impact the way you see people and see psychology, how the Bible reads us, right? I'm wondering about the other side of it. Like, being a minister and a pastor, how can psychology and studying human behavior benefit me or strengthen my ability to minister to hurting people?
Well, I mean, if you're a pastor, if you're in ministry, people is your business.
Yeah.
So you should know something about people. I mean, any minister that doesn't have good social skills, they lack social acumen, they don't know how to relate to individuals. They usually, and I don't mean to be critical, but they usually pastoring some small church in a storefront for 35 years that never really grows beyond 50 people. It's not because they can't pray, not because they can't maybe preach or teach, but in many cases, they just lack the ability to know people. I mean, your pastor, Pastor Adrian, I would consider him a guy with a very high EQ. He could read people. He knows how to relate to people. That type of social acumen, that's critically important in the ministry. Of course, it's important to pray. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
It's important to fast. It's all important. But if you don't have good social skills, if you don't know how to relate to people,
That's right.
I don't even think you can say that you're spiritually mature and socially incompetent at the same time. Those two things are incongruent. You can't say, I love God who I can't see, but I don't relate well to the people that I can see.
Yeah.
They don't jive. They don't. So to me, Christians should have the highest EQ. When I say EQ, emotional intelligence, they should have the highest EQ on the planet. Because, if you're praying for people, then you're going to approach that person with compassion. There's going to be a higher level of discernment. Christians should have good social skills, and social skills are a critical component to good ministry.
Well, it's like, I want to care about what God cares about, and God
Bingo.
cares about people. I can't say that I'm following God and that I'm living for him and then disregard
I
the
can't
people
stand
that he
humanity.
cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love to preach, but I can't stand the people I'm preaching
exactly.
to. It's like, what are you doing,
Exactly. And I'll be truthful with you. It's not like I don't have days like anybody else
Yeah.
where I wake up and go, I can't stand people today. Like I'm spent. I mean, I'm exhausted. I have no more empathy. Like someone calls me, says they want to jump off a bridge, and my attitude is, go for it. Like, you can get to that point.
Yeah.
But you know what I do? I get on my knees, and prayer makes me care. I say, God, my heart is stone right now.
Yeah.
Your promise in Ezekiel is you take the heart of stone and you give me a heart of flesh. I'm asking you to take this unbreakable heart and turn it into a broken heart. So, like anybody else, if you're honest, I don't care how compassionate a person is, you get exhausted. You get to a point where you have nothing left to give.
Even Jesus.
Even Jesus, the well runs dry. But when that happens, You get on your knees and God changes your heart.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, now I do care. Now I
Mm.
do, I want to help the person that's about to jump. But there are days where, believe me, like anybody else, I'm spent. I don't have any compassion left.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really going to take a work of Christ to change my heart.
Yeah. Man, me too. I feel that, especially working with these young kids, man, these youth students.
Oh,
Just wanna
teenagers?
come
Forget
on.
it. Adolescents? Oh,
The worst.
it's the worst.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
What do you learn from like reading about Jesus's life and the way that he dealt with people? Is there takeaways that we can get from like how to approach hurting and broken people from the way that Jesus did?
When I read the Gospels, I mean, I'm not. This is what I'm about to say is not prescriptive. I'm not saying it's a prescription for everybody. I tend to read Jesus more as the Son of Man than I do as the Son of God. He's both.
Yeah.
But I have a Savior that's relatable.
Amen.
So when I read the Gospel and I read about Christ, I tap into the human side.
Hmm.
And I see a man that I think, first and foremost, one of the biggest principles you could take from the life of Christ is he spends a lot of time alone with the Father. So I think the fact that he never runs away is because he understood the value of a getaway.
Hmm.
If you have a daily getaway, it'll keep you from running away.
Yeah.
Like you never see him run away. He doesn't run away from the cross. He doesn't run away from the crowds. He doesn't run away from the demands of the ministry. He doesn't run away from Mary Magdalene, from Peter and his stupidity. There's so many points where he could run away. But I think that he understood the importance of the getaway, that solitude with the Father that replenished him. So for me, that's one of the biggest takeaways. Because believe it or not, as much as you look at me and see I can be pretty outgoing in front of a crowd, I need a lot of time alone, at least me.
To recharge?
Oh, like I love Pastor Adrian. I love going to lunch. But I'm also in my head thinking about the hotel. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to just get back there and just like my alone time is really important to me. I'm
Yeah.
very much an ambivert, more than most people know. But I can see that in the life of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
He needs this time of getaway, and it's this getaway that keeps him from running away.
Yes.
You
It's
know.
like he's not just resting from something, but he's resting for it. Like he's preparing himself for the next day of ministry. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great way of putting it. It's not just an escape from the pressure of
Yeah.
yesterday, but it's the preparation for the
Yeah.
next thing.
So when you talk about, those days when you're tired or, a little on edge, I think we can all relate to that. When I look in, I'll just say it like this. When I look at my life, I don't think I can picture myself ever getting to the point of shooting someone in the face, no matter how angry I've gotten. But I almost think
Well,
that
you
might be.
haven't looked deep enough.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Like, is there something that's like different about like a David Berkowitz that he's born differently, and I don't got to worry about that because I'm never gonna, I'm not like him, or like underneath it all, is there something lurking within each of us that just given the right opportunity, that could be us? You know what I'm saying?
I had an uncle that would say, but I don't want to put it the way he said it because it was a little bit on the profane side. So I'll dress it up with nice language. He would say, providing the right circumstances, even a Catholic nun, a little sweet old lady will hit you in the head with a tire iron. And what he meant by that was anybody's capable of anything.
Wow.
The human condition, I think humanism has blinded us. It's made us think that we people are good. So when a David Berkowitz comes along, we have to come up with other categories. We got to say, well, that's psychopath. That's some aberration from what humanity is. But there's only human nature. There's not any other nature. It's just human nature. So I don't care how depraved the crime is, how awful some act that someone committed might be. At the end of the day, it comes from the same human nature. Let me put it this way. Spend 6 months mulling over a grudge. Spend 6 months rehearsing over and over again in your head what someone did to you, something someone did to you, how they hurt you. Spend 6 months isolating from community, pulling away from the people that are helpful to you, your pastors, your leaders. Spend 6 months harboring resentment. I mean, just constantly mulling over, how bad you feel towards a person. You watch what you devolve into. over a period of 6 months, sin will always take you further than you ever thought you'd go.
Yeah.
You become things you never thought you'd become.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at a David Berkowitz, I don't say this is a different kind of person. This is a
Yeah.
psychopath, or this is whatever term the criminologists want to use. I say, but for the grace of God, so go I.
Amen.
And I think that that's a conclusion that I think that a humanistic society like America, because we've been under humanism for about 100 years now, we need to be brought back to the understanding that mankind is sinful.
Yes.
I mean, Dr. Jordan Peterson has been doing a good job of this over the last 5-10 years. You know, he always says this. He says, you read history and you empathize with Oskar Schindler. You put yourself in the shoes of Corrie ten Boom.
Mm-hmm.
You see yourself as the hero, the protagonist. Chances are, if you were in 1940 Germany,
Yeah, which side would you
you're
be on?
not Oskar Schindler. You're not.
Yeah.
Chances are, you could be a Nazi, you could be Hitler, or you could be one of the Germans that went along to get along. But chances are you're not the hero.
Oh, yeah.
But we're narcissistic. We want to think the best of
Yeah.
ourselves. So we read history, we put ourselves in the shoes of the protagonists, and we forget the fact that that villain that's in them is the villain in us. There's really not much of a difference between us and David Berkowitz. It's just human nature.
Well, it comes down to that humanist philosophy of saying, like, at our core, we're good people, and my desires are good. So when I do harm or evil, that's like out of character for me. Like that wasn't really me. And
Absolutely.
people take comfort in saying things like God knows my heart. Like as if that's like
That
a
should
hopeful
scare the
thing.
heck out of you.
I agree.
God knows my heart.
Yeah, right?
God knows my heart.
Yeah.
It should be like, God knows my heart.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And that's the diagnosis we get from the Bible, which makes so much sense, is like, no, the evil that I do is not out of character for me. That's actually deeply ingrained in my human nature. And I need to be fixed. Like there's
You might
something
not have
broken.
committed the deeds,
Yeah.
but the seeds are
Yes. So there's this book C.S. Lewis writes called The Great Divorce.
there.
don't know
I
if
love The Great Divorce.
So there's
C.S. Lewis is my favorite writer.
Yeah, so there's a scene in it where a man enters heaven and he sees his murderer in heaven, and he's like, I can't believe they let you in here after what you did. And the guy says, oh, you think that was awful? That murder I did was an act of, mad rage. Something set me off. What was way worse than that was the year after year and day after day that I spent mulling over my hatred for you.
Absolutely.
And murdering you in my heart every single day.
Well, that was the point of the Sermon on the Mount.
Hmm.
I mean, you heard it was said, don't murder. I say unto you, if you hate your brother,
Mm-hmm.
hate will be equivalent
Come on.
to murder on the day of judgment.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how much law and order is really just keeping everybody in line. I mean, if law and order were lifted from this country,
Oh my goodness.
if law and order would just go away for maybe 24 hours, like in that movie The Purge,
Yes.
you'd see the unleashing of the beast.
Well, imagine if electricity went out and all the prison cells opened, or what, like if we had everyone who's incarcerated right now out free on the streets.
Forget about the incarcerated. COVID, we ran out of toilet paper.
And our animal instincts took over.
It was like, what the heck has happened to humanity? And it was the
Yeah.
illusion of running out of
See,
toilet paper.
there I go again, saying like, well, look, it would probably be the incarcerated people. They'd be the problem. But it's like, look at my own life, man. Like, look how I would be unrestrained.
It's like the famous
Yeah.
scene, and I keep mentioning these rated R movies, so pardon me. But Scarface, right? Tony Montana, he stands up and he says, you need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your finger and say, that's the bad guy. What does that make you, good guys?
Mm.
So that, that scene, it's the parable of the tax collector and the Pharisee in the temple saying, thank God I'm not like those tax collectors. I'm not like those drunkards.
Yeah.
Well, you're a lot more like them than you even know. So there's
Yeah.
a fine line between David Berkowitz and me. And I think that's why these inmates that I've befriended, I mean, they consider me pastor, spiritual advisor. They know I'm not there looking at them like they're miles and miles away from me.
Mm.
They know that I understand that there's a very fine line between me and them, and the condescension is not there. So then that helps them open up in the
Yeah.
conversations.
I'm curious, in your clinical work, you meet somebody who's carrying a lot of pain or trauma. How often does the question come up of like, why would God allow this to happen to me? And I don't know like how much you work in like spiritual language into your counseling sessions and stuff like that, but do you ever like have that conversation with somebody, and what would your response be to that?
Well, when David and I were talking about what really drove his crimes, like if you really got to the crux of it, I
Mm,
mean, the book lays out a list of factors: isolation, shame, resentment, all these different things.
mm,
But David said, Mike, if I really peel back the onion and get to the core of the onion, why did I commit these crimes? He said, the phrase in the New Testament says it all about sin: enmity towards God.
mm.
He said, I really believe, even if I wasn't conscious of it, even if it wasn't a conscious thought, it was rebellion towards God. I was
Wow.
killing the most innocent among us. I was going after the thing that's closest to God's heart, the vulnerable, the innocent. He
Mm,
said, so really it was a war with God. It was a spiritual battle and hostility towards God because I lost my mother when I was 14. Hostility with God because my biological mother wanted nothing to do with me. And, I was adopted 4 days old. And then I meet my biological mother and I find out I have a sister that she kept, but she gave me up. All this hostility towards him, displaced towards people.
yes.
So I think if you really got to the crux of Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, why they shot up Columbine,
Mhm.
Craig Price, why he did what he did, a lot of it is a war
Mm,
that we are in, conscious or unconscious, towards God.
yeah.
And I'm not saying it the New Testament's not saying, because the New
No, it's
Testament
true.
says that sin is hostility towards
Yes.
our Maker. So I most of the inmates I deal with, if they've done the work and they've really looked within the abyss, they'll tell you that the root of it all was really a middle finger towards heaven.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it changes the way you see the gospel too, because it's not just like God is coming and giving us an opportunity to like improve our lives or to like shape up our character or make us, more gentle or kind. And that's kind of Jesus' main message. It's like, I think it might have been Bonhoeffer that said, we're rebels that need to lay down arms,
Yeah, I love
right?
that
Is that
phrase.
Bonhoeffer
Yeah,
that
it
said,
is.
yeah.
That's the cost of discipleship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And it's
excellent
like,
phrase.
man, that's what needs to
Rebels
happen.
laying down arms. I remember
Yeah.
that phrase. That's a powerful
Yeah, and it's
phrase.
like the gospel becomes so much more powerful when it's not
Yes.
like God is helping good people become better. It's like
Yes.
he's turning enemies into redeemed. He's turning the people that are the
Exactly.
most broken into whole and saved and all that. It's like,
Now,
man.
and maybe that's partly why I love dealing with inmates, people in prison, is because the pretense is not there. Their crimes are well known. There's no more pretending I'm a good person. It's out there. It's out in the open. It's I am what I am. So there's more of an honesty. There's more of a like, yeah, I'm human nature. It's awful. We're a beast.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why Christ said the tax collectors, the prostitutes, the drunkards, they're closer to the kingdom of heaven
Wow.
than the religious because the pretense is not there.
Yes.
When you're dealing with people in prison, you're dealing with murderers.
They know they need saving.
Yeah, they know they need saving. Their
Yeah.
crimes have been in the headlines. There's no hiding the fact. It makes it easier to have that conversation,
Yeah.
you know?
There's a part in your book I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
This is, for those of you who haven't read it yet, Overheated. Is this your most recent book?
Came out 6 months ago.
6 months ago. Pick it up. I really enjoyed reading this book. There's a part in it when you talk about blackout rage.
Hmm.
So I want to read this and I want to hear some of your thoughts on this. But uh, you talk about the language we use,
Mm.
right? So you say, when people say, I don't know what possessed me,
Mm.
or I don't know what got into me, you say, what entity takes over at the moment you lose touch?
Mm.
What power overtakes you when you lose control? What force envelops you after you completely lose it? Your sensations within that frenzied circumstance are so incompatible with your personality that you cannot help but say, I don't know what possessed me.
Mm.
Is there room for spiritual language when it comes to these conversations? Like if somebody's sitting across from you and like this is a spiritual problem. Like this
There's
is
not
a
only
deeper
room for it, when you're face to face with the guy that murdered a mother and her 8-year-old and 10-year-old girl and stabbed them over 70 times, there's not only room for spiritual language, it's the only language. There's no other descriptors. So when I sit and talk with Craig Price, not different than David Berkowitz, it's the same thing. He'll say to me, Mike, it got to a point where the rage, I felt like I was in the corner of a room watching myself. He said, you see the jovial, because Craig Price is a jovial guy, very funny. He's got kind of like a Chris Rock personality. He's very, very comical, very funny, very outgoing, serial killer, outgoing. He said, see this personality? He said, in the crimes, that personality was receding further and further away from me into the shadows somewhere, and something else took over.
Wow.
Now, is that him dismissing personal responsibility? No, because he talks about the role he played. He talks about the resentment for a long time and stewing in that resentment. He makes it clear the devil knocked and I opened the door.
Yeah.
But at some point, human permission goes out the window and a demonic entity takes over, and the only phrase you can use in that point is, I don't know what got into me. I don't know what possessed me. How about this one? I got carried away. You're carried away.
Wow.
What exactly carried you away?
What are you saying?
Yeah, what are you saying when you say that you got carried away? So, and this is not uncommon when you look at the transcripts of dialogue with guys like Ted Bundy, the guy Chris Watts who murdered his wife and his 2 daughters. They'll talk about a paranormal force. Ted Bundy, FBI said that he had blue eyes, but when he would talk about the crimes, they would mutate into pitch black. This is FBI, secularists. They're not Christians. They said it was like a demonic presence would come into the room. And Bundy himself said, when I was committing the crimes, I felt like it was an out-of-the-body experience, like something else leaped into me while I was committing these crimes. All the way up until that, I'm responsible. I'm the one that put the booze in my body. I'm the one that hunted them down. I'm the one that played into these fantasies. But then at some point, I turned the keys over. At some point, someone else is driving the car. Now, I think everybody can relate to that. You all have moments when you lose your control. You kick the cat, you punch the wall, you throw a piece of furniture. I mean, maybe this is just me. You throw a piece of furniture across the room. You do something and you go, I don't know what got into me. I don't know. It's like something else. I would have never thought this morning, waking up 5 hours ago, that I would do what I just did. That's so unbecoming of my character. Well, that speaks of some other paranormal energy, whipping up your irritation into fury, whipping up your, perturbance into frenzy. There's something else going on there. And I think Ephesians does a good job with that. It says that you let the devil, or you let the sun go down in your anger enough times, and the devil gets a foothold.
Wow.
Yeah.
Foothold. You use that language in your book. Can you talk about what you mean when you say it's a foothold?
The word in the Greek is beachhead. It's a military leverage point. Like a nation will come in. Like if you think of storming the beach of Normandy, there's this point where a conquering nation will come in, gain leverage over another nation, and that point of leverage is what foothold means. It means Satan gains this space
where he can launch attacks from.
Where he can launch attacks from that particular space. Now, can he possess a Christian? I don't think he can possess us, but he can rent some space. He can get tenancy. Maybe he doesn't own the temple, but he's renting a room.
Yeah.
And from that room that he rents, he can create chaos.
What can I look for in my life if I want to know, like, am I giving the enemy a foothold in my life right now?
Well, if we're talking about anger, there's a point where anger goes from psychological to diabolical. One of the ways you can recognize that point is if you upset me, I'm upset with you. That's psychological. Just human anger. You upset me, you cut me off in traffic, you didn't pay me back the money I lent you. I'm upset with you. That's very human, very human. But when I go to bed and now I hate everybody because the money you owe me, the point where the angers generalize, I would say is indicative of the enemy gaining a foothold. Because who hates everybody? The enemy hates everybody.
That's right.
So at that point, is this my anger? Is it just an emotion? Or has this become a foothold? Has this become something else? Because now I'm not just angry at the person that cut me off in traffic. Now I'm going to bed saying, I want to kill everybody. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the point where Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold in their diaries and they shot up Columbine, they weren't there to just shoot bullies, contrary to popular
It
opinion.
was
Their
everybody.
goal was to kill everybody.
Yeah.
So the point where the anger's generalized and now
Yeah.
it's beyond a specific offense with an individual that hurt you, but now it's I can't stand people, I can't stand God, I can't stand life,
Yeah.
I can't stand myself. At the point in which it's generalized, to me that's a red flag that this has gone beyond
Yeah.
human emotion and it's entered into the realm of darkness.
Yeah. Do you see this in like the way our culture speaks right now? Because
Off.
I know when I hear people talk like in the political sphere or in social justice, there's such blanket statements made of like all this people are this, all of this group of people are this, these are the oppressors, these are the we got to take down, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
like
Very
and
Marxist.
it sounds exactly like what you're describing here. It's like it's
Yes.
no longer I had one bad encounter with this person. It's like we need to tear down the whole system. You
Yeah,
know what I
and what
mean?
does Satan do? He destroys. So the thief has come to steal, to kill, to destroy. So that mindset is a destructive mindset.
Mm,
It doesn't um, parse out good from bad, extract precious from worthless, dismantle the whole thing. So once we've entered that kind of mindset, that's Luciferian. That's something beyond human psychology. That's diabolical.
yeah. What advice can you give for dealing with somebody who's had a traumatic experience that's shaped their life in a way that I might not understand? Like, what can my approach be to that person? How can I love them and serve them well?
I think empathy is a real virtue. I
Mm,
understand there's a toxic empathy where, you sort of, you're sort of relating to people to the point where you give up your own values and principles. I don't
mm-hmm.
mean that toxic empathy,
Okay.
but biblical empathy would be what God did through the incarnation. He puts
Mm,
himself in our place. Like God could put us in our place, which is hell, but instead he puts himself in our place.
wow.
The definition of empathy is to put yourself in the place of another person.
Yeah.
So empathetic means I'm talking to somebody that's traumatized. I'm trying to understand where they're coming from. I'm listening, asking a lot of
Mm-hmm.
questions. I'm feeling what they feel. I'm thinking how they think. That kind of empathy. Why is that empathy so important? If I got to lead you somewhere that you got to go, how do I know how to take you where you got to go if I don't take the time to know where you are? So empathy shapes our guidance. It informs our feedback. If you were lost, you call me on the phone. You say, Mike, I'm trying to get to you at the Stone Church, but I'm lost. My first question is, where are you?
Mm,
I can't lead you to where you got to go if I don't first understand where you are. So, and that's what I've done with inmates for 20 years. I take the time to listen, ask a lot of questions. And in many cases, I'm putting myself in the shoes of people that have done some pretty horrific things. But when I take the time to do that, and I know where you are, when I open my mouth and give feedback, give some kind of counsel, it's usually right on the money because now I can lead you to where you got to go because I've taken the time to assess where you are.
there you go. And you've done that with serial killers. Man, it's
Couple
like
of
I
them,
can I just think about how great God's grace is,
amazing.
and I feel like we prevent ourselves from understanding it when we separate people into these categories of like you brought up the story of the tax collector and the Pharisee, right? That I would never be like that person. I could
Mm,
never do that. I am essentially erasing my understanding of the gospel through those statements because what I'm saying is
100%.
I deserve God's love more than that person, or I
Absolutely.
deserve the grace of God. And like if grace is undeserved, you can't deserve it more than the next person. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So it's
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
your ability, which I respect and I'm learning from hearing you talk, is like no matter what somebody's done or what life they've led, if I can look at myself and see in their shoes, like there's I don't know if you've ever read the Father Brown mysteries by G.K. Chesterton. They're like these murder
I like
mysteries.
G.K.
Yeah.
Chesterton, but I haven't read his
So
mysteries.
the Father Brown is a priest, right? But he's solving these murder cases,
Hmm.
and he said, and he solves the case. In the end of this book, they ask him how he did it, and he says, I'm paraphrasing here, but I had to see myself in his shoes committing the act. I
Yes.
had to actually like see myself doing it and put myself in his mind before I could understand where he got to. And
Absolutely.
like our ability to do that as Christians and as leaders in the church, or even just, your everyday Christian, to whoever I meet, like I can see myself in you. I can
Mm,
see you've gone through hurt and you've gone through pain in your life. You've made bad choices. I've made bad choices. We are both beggars looking for food,
absolutely.
basically, you know?
Let me leave you with this.
Yeah.
One of the most fascinating studies ever done on genetics,
Okay.
the Human Genome Project. It lasted 13 years, from 1990 to 2003. It was an analysis of genetics, humanity at large, and the number one conclusion of the study, 13 years study on genetics, is that every human being is 99% genetically similar.
Hmm.
So, as much as we think we're different than the next person or the next person's different than us,
Yeah.
genetically, we're 99% genetically similar. What makes that 1% such a big deal is ego. Because ego, we want to see ourselves as not like the herd. We're different. We're the exception. But we're actually showing how similar we are because everyone thinks that way. We all think we're exceptional.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're all alike.
We're all unique
We're
together.
all, yeah, we're all unique together. There's a great phrase. Well, we all need the grace of God. I mean, it's the fundamental
Yeah, amen.
common ground is we're all sinners in need of God's grace.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you.
It's been awesome.
How can people find you if they want to learn more? You got
I'm an active
Is it-
presence on Facebook, Instagram. I put up almost daily teachings on mental health from a biblical perspective.
Yeah.
You can go to my website, unmuted.app. You could check out my books on Amazon. You can go on Netflix, watch Conversations with a Killer. I'm in part 3 of that documentary series.
Cool.
And there's another one coming out in Peacock in a few months. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Mike, thanks for sitting down.
Thank you.
Yeah, God bless.
God bless
Thank you guys
guys.
for watching the Stone Church podcast. Stay tuned for more conversations like this. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. God bless.